In this video, we're going to create the light box slide to accompany step 5, 3 balls continuous. So we're not going to have to create this all from scratch like we did for step 4 because it's going to be basically the same sort of slide, just with a few extra components. So I'm going to go and copy the light box slide from step 4. So go over here to the story view and we'll go to, this is the light box slide. For step 4, I'm just going to right click and copy. And then I'm just going to put my mouse anywhere here in the story view and right click and paste. And you can see that it just appeared up here in the top right. We will connect it with step 5 later, but for now we're just going to leave it here and work with it here. First, make sure you're on that slide. So we're on the new step 4 light box slide. And the first thing we're going to do is rename this to step 5. Let's break it down. There we go. And we also want to double check the name of this slide here in the story view. Okay, so it changed at the same time. So it says step 5, let's break it down. That's what we want. And we're going to create a new text box because with this light box slide, we're going to let them start with the first 3 balls, then repeat in the opposite direction, and then keep going. So we're going to show that they're continuing to juggle the balls. So I'll just go review that in the storyboard. So if you look here, these are the text boxes that we need. So we already have start here and repeat in opposite direction, but we want to add one that says then keep going. So we're going to add that now. So I'm just going to go and copy one of these just so we don't have to do everything from scratch. So I'll take this one, I guess. So I've pasted it here and I'm just going to move it over, and we're going to keep it over here until we're done, and then we'll move everything back where it's supposed to go. So I'm going to write down here, then keep going. Okay, so we'll leave that here for now. And we don't want this text box to show up when the slide starts, so we better make sure that the initial state is set to hidden. So let's go over here to the states. Oh, it's already set to hidden because we copied the other one, so we're good. All right. So that's good to double check anyways. And now we're going to create 3 more of these buttons here to trigger the balls to move. So I'm just going to copy and paste. So I'm going to just copy this one. And I'm just going to move it over here to the right. Just so we know these are our extra buttons that we're creating now. So let's copy the green one. And copy the blue one. Okay, now let's go check in the timeline to see what they're labeled. So let's just click on this yellow one here. That's button 8. And this green one, button 9. And the blue one is button 10. Okay, and now let's make sure that the initial states of these buttons is set to hidden. So go over to states. So we copied the first set, so we may have to adjust these a bit, and we do because the first one here is set to normal, so we want to set that to hidden. And ball 2 here, we want to set to hidden. And this third one here, hidden. All right, so there's button 8, 9, and 10 all set to hidden, and they will come in when we get to that point. And we're going to set some triggers for those now. Okay, so go over to the right here And I'm just going to review slightly what we were doing. So we have set button 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with different triggers to make sure that when you click on the first button here, the second one becomes normal so that it can be clicked on next. And then when you get to the second one, you disable the first one and you set the third one to normal and so on. And then when you get to the third button, you want this set to disappear so that the next set can come in. So that's sort of what we're going to do for this final set of buttons here, 8, 9, and 10. So let's start here with button 6 because we need to do a few things. So button 6 was after the second set of buttons came in for the learner to click on the buttons for the juggling sequence. So what we need to do for button 6 is we have to make sure that when button 6 is clicked, so that would be like clicking this one here, right? That all 3 of those would disappear and this new set over here would come in. So we got to make sure that happens when button 6 is clicked. So let's go create a new trigger here. We're going to change the state of button 8. So that's one of our new ones. We want to change this state so that it goes to normal when button 6 is clicked. When the user clicks, okay, we're on 3, but we want button 6, which is the hidden one underneath this one. So change the state of button 8, which is this one, to normal when the user clicks button 6. Okay, and then similarly, we're going to change the state, so new trigger, of button 9 to disabled because we want it to show up, but we don't want it to be clickable yet because we have to guide the learner through the juggling sequence. So when user clicks button 6. So change the state of button 9, which is this one, to disabled. So it will show up, but you can't click on it. And then the third one there, change the state of button 10 to disabled when the user clicks button 6. So this just allows it so that these buttons will then show up once the second set of buttons comes in and then disappears to allow this set to come in. So I know it may be a bit confusing, but just think of it like you have 3 different sets of buttons. The first set comes in, you click through those. Once you get to the third button, then you want the first set to disappear and the second set to come in. And then you click through those. Once you get to the end of the third button there, you want those to disappear and then you want the third set to come in. All right, and then this text box here, we're going to set a trigger for that. So when we have these ones come in, we also want this text box to appear. So we want to create a trigger to change the state of that text box, which should be text box 3. Now you can see how it's highlighting it. So it's text box 3. Change it to normal when the user clicks. Again, we want button 6. Okay. And then at the same time, we need to make sure that repeat opposite direction is set to hidden. I think that may already be here from before. Let's just check that. Yep, here it is right here. Change the state of repeat opposite direction to hidden when the user clicks button 6. Okay, so now for button 8, when we copied these buttons over from 1, 2, and 3, it also took a bunch of triggers with it that we don't need. So I'm going to just delete out what we don't need and then we'll add in the ones we do need or modify. So this one here, change the state of oval 1 to hidden. We don't need that because that's a button 1 trigger. So we're going to just delete that. Now this one, change the state of button 2 to normal. We can just modify this because when button 8 here is available to be clicked, once we click it, we want button 9 to be normal so we can click it next. So I'm going to just edit that, change the state of button 9 to normal when the user clicks button 8. Okay. All right, that's all we're going to do for that one right now. This show layer trigger, we're going to have to modify that, but we haven't created the slide layers that go along with these buttons yet, so we'll have to come back to that later. Okay, now let's move on to button 9. Change the state of oval 2 to hidden. That's left over from the button 2 that we copied, so let's delete that. Okay, and change the state of button 3 to normal, so we can modify this one. We want button 8 to become disabled, so once you get to button 9, you want this one to be disabled so you can't click on it again. So let's just do that right now. Change the state, button 8 to disabled when the user clicks button 9. And then let's modify this one. So once the user clicks button 9 here, we want button 10 to be normal so that you can click on it next. So change the state of button 10 to normal when user clicks button 9. Okay. And like I said before, the show layer one we'll come back to, so let's go into button 10 now. So this trigger right here is left over from the first set that we copied. So let's just delete that out. And let's modify these. So we want to have button 8, 9, and 10 become hidden when we click button 10 so that it'll disappear for the next item to appear. So I'm going to just modify these here. So we want to change the state of button 8 to hidden when user clicks button 10. Go to the next one, edit, change the state of button 9 to hidden when the user clicks button 10. And next one, change the state of button 10 to hidden. That one's already done because it's just kind of copying from before. Extrapolating, I guess. Storyline sometimes helps you out that way. So change the state of button 10, so it's the one we're on, to hidden when user clicks button 10. All right. And now these ones here are left over from before, but this is our last set of buttons here. So this was copied from button 1, 2, and 3. So we don't need these anymore. So I'm just going to delete these because these refer to 4, 5, and 6. So delete this. And delete this. Now if this is confusing for you, you could just, instead of copying, you could create them again and just try to make them the same size. But I find as long as you go through step by step, it's not too bad. And then you can always preview if you're not sure. Let's go back here to button 10. All right, so we have button 8 going to hidden, 9 hidden, 10 hidden. And now we want the text box, this new one, then keep going to go to hidden as well. So let's just modify this one. So instead of text box 1, it'll be text box 3, which is this one. So let's just double check that again. 3, yes. To hidden when the user clicks button 10, okay. And then we don't need this one either. Okay. So let's just delete that out because that's from before. And the show layer we'll come back to. So the only other thing that we need here is this retry one that was up with button 6 before, because that was our last one before. So let's find that. Retry right here. Right? We want to change the state of the retry button to normal, not when user clicks button 6, but when they click button 10. So let's modify that. And then it's going to move under the button 10 group. So change the state of button 7. So button 7 is our retry button to normal when the user clicks button 10. And you can see that it moved down there now. All right, and then just a couple more triggers there with the retry button. So we want to make sure that when the retry button is clicked, that the retry button will go to hidden and then the slide will reset. So let's go up to, let's see here, button 7. So button 7 is our retry button. You can see it highlighting there. So I think this is already set, but we're just verifying, okay? Change the state of button 7, our retry button, to hidden when the user clicks button 7, so itself. And then we want it to jump to step 5, let's break it down. Okay, that's already set because we copied over from the step 4, let's break it down. It just translates now to the step 5, let's break it down, because we renamed the slide. So let's go preview this slide to see if we need to modify anything. Note that we still have those show layer triggers in there from before, so we're going to have to disregard the arc motion paths for the third set because we're going to be modifying those. But let's just see if these buttons and the text box come in correctly. Ball 1, ball 2, ball 3. That works. Ball 1, ball 2, ball 3. That disappears. This comes in. Good. Now when I click these, it's going to show ball 1, ball 2, ball 3 again, and it's going to go on top of this because these aren't disappearing right now. So just disregard it, but I just want to make sure that our buttons are working. Okay. So it looks good so far. I'm going to go move those so they're in their correct spots, and then in the next video, we will modify the slide layers and add those extra 3 slide layers. So let's first move the buttons. So you could just eyeball it, or you could go here, is what I'm going to do, and right click and go to size and position and just see where they're at, and then just copy these numbers, so 89 to 82, and do that for the ones over here, so make sure that they're in the same spot. So let's do that now. Size and position, so 89 and 282. And this one, so that will be 89 and 330. And then this one will be 89 and 378. Okay, and now those buttons are on top of the other one, so I'm going to move those to the back. So go up to Format, just so they're in the order that I want to think of them as. Like, I want the first set on top, then the second set, then the third set on the bottom. So go here to Send to Back. There we go, and then do the same thing for this one. Send to Back. And then this one, Send to Back. And then the text box here, I'm just going to move that over. I'm going to eyeball this one a little bit more. Okay, then keep going. All right, so now let's just go preview again. And remember that the third set, the ball motions are not correct at this point. So ball 1, ball 2, ball 3. Ball 1, ball 2, ball 3. And now our text box came in and we got our third set here. Ball 1, ball 2, ball 3. Retry. Okay. So in the next video, we're going to add the third set of the slide layers for that third set of the buttons here to trigger the ball motions. So this is to help them understand that they need to continue juggling the balls after they throw first set, second set, and then they just keep going, and then they'll be continuously juggling.